time was 9:45 a.m. in Parliament, and the Assurance Committee of the House was getting ready to question Works and Housing Minister Kojo Nkrumah on some assurances he had made on the floor of Parliament. But just when that was about to get underway, officials came in and whisked everyone away because the Job 600 building, which was adjoining the committee room, had caught fire. Staffers and MPs were evacuated, with so many having no idea what exactly was happening. A few minutes later, it was clear that the fire was spreading and fire tenders were deployed from the fire service headquarters to douse the flames.
Around 9:45, we received a distress call, and within less than 5 minutes, our appliance was here. What we are saying now is fire that has affected one of the rooms. It is like a storeroom because we have some storage items there. So our aim now is to get the fire confined.
Parliament has now been without a fire tender for some time. The Chief Fire Officer has been providing an update on that.
This has begun and will come out with the cause of the fire in due course.
This is not the first time we are recording a fire incident on the same complex. How concerning is that?
Yes, fire, we can never predict. Anything can happen. So you should not doubt that. That's why you have all kinds of things there. Anything could happen to cause fire.
We are aware that the fire tender station here in Parliament has developed some fault.
Of course.
It's undergoing servicing.
Yeah, exactly.
When is it returning?
Oh, very soon. Within the week, it will return. Fortunately, we have stations around to cover the place. So there's no problem.
The cause of the fire is now unknown, and the Ghana Fire Service is deploying resources to find out exactly what happened and also to ensure this never happens again.
Well, the place might look darker now, but just about an hour and a half ago, this house was up in flames. We're told that a woman left her cylinder unattended to, and it got lit, and the entire place went up in flames.
A woman who just lighted a gas, and then trying to prepare something to eat. Okay. But when that, he left the fire and then the gas, okay, and then left in the room. Okay. So that has to bring that explosion of destruction of destroying, okay, people's rooms and then other.
Okay. The fire service personnel who came on duty tell us that they were on time.
In fact, we had a call 1806 hours. That is 606 hours. Okay, 1806 hours. And we got here 1816 hours. Now, when you get a call, we take 1 minute to dispatch the tender. And the vehicle came from Circle. And around this time, the road is very busy, the traffic. So they got here in less than 6 minutes. So if you say we didn't come here early, well, I beg to differ. And again, who called us? And at what number did he call? These are things that we need to find out. Many times, yes, you did well by attempting to salvage some of the items, but your initial attempt is to call us before you tackle the salvaging aspect.
But the eyewitnesses beg to differ.
I heard they said 6 minutes. Imagine if it was 6 minutes. I don't think this thing will happen. They should be up and doing. When they call them, they should respond to us and come in. If they think they are lacking one or two things, they should let the government know and he will do it for them.
From Malata in Accra, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
2 incidents of fire yesterday. Let's talk about this. How do we keep our workplace safe from fire outbreaks? And really, what went wrong at that 12th floor Job 600 building that serves as the offices of members of parliament and parliamentary service staff? What are the lessons for us as public and corporate entities? And how do we really, what do you know about keeping safe? Let's get to know all the facts about this. In the studio with me this morning is DS Afo. and he's the lead investigator at the Ghana National Fire Service. DS Afo, thank you so much for joining us on the AM show.
Thank you.
I want to start from Parliament, that fire outbreak that we saw over there. Really, what's the assessment of the situation as we speak now?
Okay, thank you, and then good morning to your viewers. Before I address that issue, I wish to comment about safety in buildings first.
Okay.
When we say safety in buildings, what are we talking about? We are talking about measures, regulations, and other practices that we put in place to ensure that human beings in buildings are safe.
Yes.
So in terms of this, what are the safety measures that you're looking at?
Okay, but we do want to get into...
Yes, I want to address that. We need to understand
all right, sure,
what safety means in a building. Then we delve into what happened.
Okay.
So what it means is that once you have the building in place, there are certain things that one needs to put in place. You look at the structure, look at the fire protection measures, and then you look at the day-to-day activities of the occupants. That is what one needs to know so that you can prevent these fires.
Okay.
Now let's get back to the question of what happens.
Yeah.
Like we all saw in the video. When the incident happened, we were called to duty. We went there. We were able to manage the situation. Apparently, what happened was the thing happened in between the first, it's not the top floor. It happened in between the first and the second floor. There's a mezzanine floor. That is where the thing happened. And it was confined to only one room.
Just one room?
One room.
Which means that's where it started?
Yes.
Something went wrong there. What went wrong?
Oh, basically, if you take the principles of fire or the theory of fire, there are three things that comes to bear. You look at the combustible material, the heat, and the fuel. Oxygen, and then... Right. So what it means is that whenever this thing comes to place in an appropriate proportion, then fire will start. As we sit here, we have fuel in place, we have oxygen, we have heat. But because they are not in their rightful proportion, fire will not start. So unfortunately for them, the proportion were able to meet, and then they met the requirement, and the fire started. So
it was not, as a result of negligence on someone's part. It's just the right proportion of all these elements coming.
Yes, currently the thing is an investigation, so I cannot comment on it. But for fire to start, you need the fuel, you need the heat, and oxygen for fire to start. What it means is that within our environment, we have what we call hazards. It is the hazard that causes fire. Okay. If you don't manage the hazard well, then fire will start. Okay.
So I understand that you say it's an active investigation and you can't comment, but as we speak now, what is the status? Calm has been restored?
Yes, please.
No casualties recorded?
No, please.
Everything
is normal.
And then there was that other incident at Malata.
Yes.
What happened there too? From the report, they said someone left a gas, and then the issues raised about your response time. The official there said they got to the ground in about 6 minutes, but eyewitnesses are saying that if it was 6 minutes, really, the damage that we saw would be minimal than what we saw.
Yes, you see, I disagree with the witness. We went there. When you call, the call goes to our central point of communication. That is FMC, Fire Master Control. They keep records as and when we receive distress calls. Then the appliance is dispatched. We keep record of that. When you go to the scene, we keep record of that. Then we look at the time that the fire will be extinguished. We have what we call under control. Under control means the men on the ground are in charge, and therefore there's no cause for alarm. So when the fire is extinguished, we report back to the Fire Master Control. All this information or data are there.
Do you have enough tenders at vantage points, especially here in Accra, to allow for quick response in an incident of fire?
I will not say enough. We have tenders in place. As and when emergency occur, we attend. Okay.
So it was 6 minutes?
Yes.
Or less than, or more than 6 minutes?
No, less.
Less than 6 minutes. Or
6 minutes. My colleague just said.
Okay. All right. And Parliament too. I saw the woman say it was 5 minutes.
No.
The fire officer was saying that we got here in about 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So it was 5 minutes exactly.
We are yet to
we are yet to establish.
Yeah, because we need to get to the control room and get the facts right. I don't want to speculate the time.
No problem.
Yes.
So let's get into understanding workplace safety regulation. So, I mean, what are the key fire safety regulations that Ghanaian workplaces are required to follow?
Thank you. For us to talk about this, we need to understand the legal framework that we used, or practitioners need to know. One, we have the LI 1724. That mandates Ghana National Fire to ensure that every public premises is safe for use. Then we have the building code, GS 1206, 2018. And then we have the building regulation, LI 2465. These are the documents that helps practitioners and regulators to ensure that public premises are safe for use.
Okay. And now all buildings are not the same. So
yes.
Are there different approaches to high-rise buildings and all that? What are the differences and the differences in the approach?
You see, when it comes to safety, we start safety planning from the drawing board. Because before you put up the building, you engage an architect to do that for you, or a professional to do it for you. So the professional need to know your requirements. Based on that, the design is put in place. And then these drawings are sent to, or are supposed to be sent to, Ghana National Fire Service for our input. So we'll do that, and when we're okay with your safety protocols as proposed in the report and on the drawings, then we'll give you the nod for it. So it is based on the use. The safety measures in offices will be different from a safety measure in factories. The safety measures at home will be different from that of offices. So basically, but there are fundamental requirements. You may need detection system, that's the smoke detectors, call point and sounders. You may need firefighting equipment. You may need other safety measures in terms of means of escape, protocols that you need to put in place. In some situations, you'll be required to provide what we call fire retardant paints on the wall, so that in a fire situation, these paint will pop up to serve as a shield. Yes, to prevent the fire from spreading to other areas.
And how frequently are these regulations updated to keep up the pace with new safety challenges? How frequently do you update these?
These are laws. I think laws are made to run for a long time. But for us, we look at the safety protocols in terms of renewal of your fire certificates. So yearly, one needs to go to Ghana National Fire Service to renew the fire certificate. Once it is renewed.
To renew what?
Renew the fire certificates. We issue fire certificates to premises, especially public premises. And what it means is that a fire officer is supposed to come to your end and then check your safety protocols if they are okay, check your lighting system in terms of electricals and all those things, if they are in the rightful position, and then recommend your facility or your premises to the chief officer to issue a new fire certificate to that facility.
And this is the responsibility of employees or business owners to
the occupier, let me put it this way, the occupier and then the owner of the building.
Right.
So once you occupy, it is your responsibility. It could also be the owner of the building.
And how does Ghana National Fire Service check to ensure that these owners and occupants of businesses and buildings are complying with this yearly renewal of fire certificates?
Yes, I hope you are talking about enforcement.
Yes, enforcement.
Yes,
how
enforcement.
How are you ensuring that?
We look at education, one, it's another form of enforcement. We look at the engineering component, and then education. So for us as a Ghana National Fire, we have officers or men that goes around to ensure that, especially public premises, they have the safety protocol in place, and these protocols are functioning. And then report back to the authorities. And to confirm that, what it means is that the premises have to renew the fire certificate if they have it. If they don't have it, then the officer will ensure that that premises acquire a fire certificate to ensure.
Are there any punitive measures taken against those who deliberately do not renew their...
Yes, there are punitive measures.
Like what?
One is a fine. Okay. Two is imprisonment.
Imprisonment?
And then both.
Up to how many years? Let's say if your certificates overlaps for 2 years without renewal, what's the worst that could happen to you in terms of punishment?
Punishment, but I cannot give you specific now. But I know the law make provision for that. That one need to be fined, you pay in the penalty units, One is 250, we have 100, 250,
right.
And then the years that you need to serve in prison. And I quite remember you are asking me if we've done that. I quite remember when I was in Ashanti region as a regional safety officer, I was able to take about 103 institutions to court, and they were fined. Not that we are not, we are doing it.
You're doing it.
Then when it comes to education and other things, when I was in Tema, we do house-to-house safety checks, risk assessment at home. Well, we come to you, ask you if your gas cylinder is on, if it's not in use, make sure you put it off. If electrical appliances are not in use, you put them all those off, and then remove them from the circuit. So we are doing it. And yearly, we have a period within the year that will declare it as a safety week, which means I will go to communities, we go to market to educate people about what you need to do to prevent these fires from occurring.
Okay. At some point, we would open the phone lines, and our audience gets to interact with us as well. But based on your experience, what are the most common fire hazards in the Ghanaian workplaces, and how can they be effectively mitigated?
Most common fires?
Yeah.
In Ghanaian workplaces or in
Fire
Ghana?
hazards, yeah.
If you talk about hazards, there are a lot. As we see, there are hazards around us.
What are the common ones that you see or encounter in your daily, in the discharge of your duty as a fireman? As
a fireman. Yeah. Most often it's negligence of handling of electrical appliances. It is not the ECG that causes it. It is the way we handle the appliances that causes the fire. And then sometimes also you notice that ignorance also is another component of it that causes these fires. So these are the generic ones. But if you want to talk about nature, then we have the domestic, we have the commercial, and we have industrial.
You said ignorance. It means that not as many people understand the safety protocols and measures to keep safe, especially at the workplace. Is that a detriment, or is that a negative in the discharge of your duties to educate the public and ensure that?
Let me explain the negligence. You see, negligence is where you are aware, but you refuse to do the right thing. You've been educated. You refuse to do it. You've been told not to plug electrical appliances more than 2 in a socket, and you do that. It's negligence.
Yeah. Nobody's ignorant. Okay.
And then ignorance is a situation where you don't know. Here we are referring to children. Sometimes children can also set fire.
Right.
They will plug in because mom and dad, they saw mom and dad ironing from a point. Mom and dad are not around. Mom and dad are not around. And then maybe they want to wear a T-shirt, they'll pick the iron it, and then drop it, leave the iron on, and this starts on. So on the part of the child, it is ignorance.
Okay.
So these are the differences.
Okay. Let's talk about, the importance of employee training. And I was telling you before we came on air that we used to see firemen go around to offices and homes to show you how to, or demonstrate how to use the fire extinguisher and all that. And I mean, there's a fire TV station now, so most of those is happening on the TV stations. But I do not see as much as the in-person demonstrations and training these days as we used to do. And how important is employee training in maintaining workplace safety, would you say?
It is very important. When it comes to safety, we have what we call a shared responsibility. It is the employee and the employer who have to come together and ensure that the place is safe too. And therefore, fire service, we ensure that we provide training, adequate training. We have other institutions, service providers, who also provide. They liaise with Ghana National Fire Service, and we provide these services.
So you're doing enough?
We are doing it.
I haven't had any training.
Then you have to invite us to.
Any of the places I've worked, I've never had a personnel from Ghana National Fire Service come to training. I'm saying it truthfully. I've never had
As far as I know, I know
and I'm just one person.
One person, okay. I know we've provided. I know a colleague some years back was providing services to you through a service provider. He helped you to acquire the fire certificate. And without training, we will not also issue the fire certificate. So training is one of the requirements. And it is in the LI 1724. And the law says that Ghana National Fire Service shall ensure adequate training are provided. So once the training is provided, we issue you with the fire certificate.
Where was your latest training session?
In fact, I would say that, the most current one, I will not be able to give you now because these trainings are done at the district levels. We have number of fire stations, which we call diesel fire station. And these diesel fires, they have safety units. They go out to do the daily education. Even now, as I explained, you may have a unit going out there to provide the training. Just that the media does not show much interest when it comes to safety or fire service activity. Our interest is when we have issues, there are fire outbreaks, major ones, then they will take the trouble, let's find out what the issues are. But then if we take the interest and we partner Ghana National Fire to provide this public education, I think it will help all of us.
What we are doing right now
I agree with you.
It's one of
Yes,
such public education and collaboration with you.
Yes.
But you can join the conversation, call us, let us know what issues you have in terms of fire, safety at work and all that. We have the Deputy Director here, lead of investigations, and he'll help us gain some clarity on the matter. So, Director, what are the most effective fire prevention strategies that employers can implement? I know that you must have a fire extinguisher, and then you talked about the certificate.
Yeah.
What else? Then
you need to also ensure that these equipments are functioning. You have a service provider ensuring your things are working effectively. And there's this practice, especially where we have detection system in place. You move into some facilities and then you have covers. The sensor, after the installation, they put what we call cover on it to prevent dust to get into it. And as you go around, you may have, or you see these things around. And I don't want to mention names. Even this morning, I saw one this morning somewhere.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe after this program, maybe you can also go around to check if you have such things around. Now, what it means is that you have a problem with your detection systems.
Okay.
Because the sensor will pick the dust or any other thing, and then which is sensitive to the sensor, and then raise an alarm. And because we want to prevent these frequent sounding of the alarm or triggering of the detector, we'll put the cover there to prevent it, which is not the best practice. What it means is that you need to call a provider to come and check your alarms, your panel. But most of you don't do that. We think that, oh, fire, it won't happen. So let's put the cover on it and then we live with it. And it's not a good practice. So I would advise that for us to have effective safety strategy, first you need fire safety management plan. That will spell out our role.
And what does a comprehensive plan look like? A comprehensive fire
Yes.
safety plan. What does it look
You
like?
are looking at management responsibility, employee responsibility, and the protocols that have been put in place.
Okay, Director, we have our audience have joined us already. We have Andrew from Akwigwa. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
What are your concerns?
Oh, okay, first of all, thank you so much for this education. I'm just here to commend Mr. Alpha for the education you have shared this morning. I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Alpha, he
Welcome.
said he's enjoying the conversation.
Thank you.
He's learning a lot. Okay, so we were talking about a comprehensive fire prevention or management plan.
Yes.
What does that encapsulate?
So you look at the management responsibility, employee responsibility, the risk assessment. That will tell you your vulnerability level of that organization and the measure that you put in place or you intend to put in place in the near future. So once these documents, it serves as a guide. For instance, let's look at the management responsibility. If you want to maybe service your fire, it has expired, you want to service a fire extinguisher, and management don't have much interest in that, he or she may decide that, oh,
It's nothing, just leave
no,
it.
let's leave it. It's too expensive. And for your information, fire safety gadgets or accoutrement are very expensive. Very, very expensive.
Wow.
Even if you are putting up a burden, I can say that it takes about 30% of the cost of the burden. I'm not talking about buying just fire extinguishers, but if really you want to put in place, looking at means of escape, considering fire doors, exit directional signs,
Even the alarm is not cheap. Yeah.
and everything.
The detector, I mean.
The detectors, they are very expensive. And most often, employers want to at least look down upon those things. Oh, we can do without these things because we've lived with it for years and nothing has happened.
Okay. Let's pause here and invite Michael from Kokomimli. Michael, grateful to have you join the conversation. What's on your mind?
Yes, good morning. Good morning to you and your guest. The fire outbreak was very close to me in Kokomlemle here. And it looks as if the area, the whole area, there is no education going on. Fire workers don't come around to educate anybody about fire outbreak and what we should do when there is fire. There is even an officer in my area here. I live around Agbami Road. That officer always burns rubbish. You see, bola that we are supposed to be giving to these bola people who takes bola. He is a fire service officer, but he burns bola to disturb the whole area. You will come out, your room will be smelling of smoke. Sometimes we might even think it's our electrical gadgets that are burning, only to come out and then realize that it is a fire service officer who is burning bola. We've confronted him, he has refused. I even reported him to the assemblyman of the area, and then he promised to bring EPA people to come and then serve him a letter and warn him. You see, so some of even the officers are not even aware of these fire safety precautions.
Thank you, Michael. And hold and give us the name of this officer so that Director Afo can deal with the person. I mean, we want to name and shame, but let's not do it right here on air. So hold, my producers will take the name of the officer. Thank you for calling. So, Mr. Afo, they're saying that right here in Kokomimli, we are in Kokomimli, they've not seen enough education going on. And I said the same thing to you. What's your response to that?
No, we are still doing public education. And we see we are using the in-person and then in the media. If you go to our media handles, you get other information on public education. Like I mentioned, if I'm permitted, now we have Fire TV, and we do a lot of public education. And there are a series of programs that we run. What to do at the home, at the workplace, and all those things. Even last week, we were talking about fire safety policies. And these things are running. So I think that our advice is they should also at least tune to Fire TV and then learn a bit from us when it comes to things to do, the safety measures and protocols that you need to put in place, both at the workplace and at home. Or
you can also escalate or expand your reach in terms of the...
Noted.
Let's invite another Michael from Accra. Michael, what's on your mind? Do we have Michael on the line with us? Okay, it appears we've lost Michael. So what are the consequences?
Hello?
Yeah, Michael.
Hello, this is KJC.
Don't listen to us on your TV set. Turn the volume all the way down and talk to us directly. What's on your mind?
I want to commend the fire officer there and the way he's been able to articulate some of the laws with regards to prosecution. That is where my interest is. Because if you look at Swame, for instance, and its environs, you realize that a lot of people have consumed their setbacks. If we mean setback, is the space between your wall and the building. And that spaces, I learned, is mainly for firefighters. That is why they have to ensure that every house you are able to circumlocute or go around the house. But a lot of people have consumed it. Some have even used part of their fence wall as part of their building. What is fire service doing about that? We want to see the prosecution that he's talking about being enforced on the ground. And that is where I will want to say my emphasis.
Thank you, Michael. He's talking about prosecution. And the other man, the first Michael that spoke to us, talked about burning. I've heard fire service personnel tell us countless times to just avoid burning. This is an official who is burning. So what, are we preaching virtue and practicing vice?
No, it's unfunny this happened, and I would like to apologize for that. It is not a good practice, even though we permit control burning. Control burning means that you burn and then you ensure that you provide some measures around it, where maybe you have water standing by in case the thing escalates. You don't leave that burning and then go away.
Or you dig and burn in the hole.
So that is control burn. But it's unfortunate that an officer who is expected to know better is doing this. So I'll take that matter up and then ensure that it doesn't happen again.
And the other concern was that they haven't actually seen these punitive actions that he talked about. I mean, prosecution, the fine. Maybe if you do, the way that we report on fire outbreaks and your quick, swift response, then maybe we can also make it a public thing. It deters other people from committing the same crime.
Noted.
Okay. We have Osman from Pig Farm. Osman, share your concerns with us.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Osman. Go ahead. And don't listen to us on your TV. Turn the volume all the way down and talk to us directly. What's on your mind?
Good morning.
Good morning, Osman. Go ahead.
Okay. I've listened to the program, and what the officer is saying is very lighted. But my issue now is that, this gas issue, burning of places and other things, I think it's coming too complicated now.
I think we lost Osman. I struggled to hear his, he qualified the thing. He said it's very something. Did you hear that?
No, I...
Okay, great. Osman, maybe you can call us again and let us get clarity on what your concerns are. So you were saying, I was going to ask you about the consequences for businesses who fail to comply with these regulations. And then we had the issues about the punitive actions and so on and so forth. Right now, what initiatives are is the Ghana Fire Service implementing to ensure that, one, people comply with the regulations, two, you're actually creating enough awareness so that the ignorant ones, like the children that you say, actually have a sense of how to even stay safe when their parents are not around, and really just to educate the public on how to stay safe?
Thank you. I think I mentioned the 3 E's: engineering,
education, engineering,
and enforcement.
Right.
Engineering is where you submit your drawings to us for us to review and then advise you accordingly. Education is what we do, one-on-one public education. As we speak now, we have fire cadets in schools. We send officers there to educate them so that they will not cause fire in their homes.
Okay. We should be wrapping up, but we have Enchi, someone calling us rather from Enchi. Hello, thank you for calling. What's the name?
Hello, this is Mr. Joseph.
Mr. Joseph from Enchi. Joseph, share your thoughts with us.
Good morning to you and your guest. And I think what our senior officer is saying, good morning to you and your guest.
Morning.
I think what our senior officer is saying, it's normal here. Fire officers goes around, educate people around. They sometimes advise them to buying fire extinguishers and the other gadgets that can help them even quench fire before they call the office. But they won't do it. We are in this Ghana, we know Ghanaians. When you even ask them to do the right thing, they will turn out. As time goes on, we don't know what we are even doing. We go to the marketplaces, these people smoking fishes and coal, a whole lot of things. They don't have fire extinguishers. They don't have anything. So if there's any fire outbreak at the market square, how are you going to quench the fire before you even call the office for help? So please, we should help ourselves before the officers also come in.
Okay. And I think thank you so much for calling. And I think it fits into what you're saying.
Yes.
You arm the people enough, they can take care of themselves, you know? Yeah. And the other issues that he raised, what's your response to that?
Which one?
About how we are going to be quenching fires in the marketplaces. And I mean, the issue about
in
hydrants keep coming up, you know?
The issue, yes.
Yeah.
You want us to talk about hydrants?
Let's talk about hydrants.
You see,
and sometimes there are reports that it's empty, sometimes they're not enough, you know, between where the incident of fire occurs and where they have to deploy those tenders or hydrants from is so far.
Thank you. You know, when we talk about hydrants are the property of Ghana Water. Fire Service only assess it. So the outlets where we assess them, which we call it as hydrant, they are pipelines run. And these hydrants, as and when Ghana Water decides, they can raise the pressure level or make it lower. And if it is lower, we cannot draft the water. We cannot take water. So in Accra here, we have specific areas that will take water for firefighting. And fire service cannot be blamed. The maintenance of the hydrant is the responsibility of Ghana Water, not fire service.
What's the communication there between the Ghana Fire Service and Ghana Water?
There is. As we speak now, I don't know whether you check your water bill. You pay 1% of that to Ghana firefighting to Ghana Water.
But if they're not giving you enough for you to do
so
your
it
work,
is your responsibility. The citizenry are supposed to ask Ghana Water, why are you not providing us with enough hydrants for fire service to assist? It is not my responsibility.
Mr.
Yes.
Your responsibility is to fight fire.
Yes.
To do that, you need water.
That collaboration.
Supplied, yes, collaboration. Supplied by Ghana Water Company Limited.
Yes.
Now you're saying that there's a challenge there.
Yes.
Sometimes they're unable to give you enough water.
Yes.
You cannot ask us as citizens to ask them why there's that challenge. You need it. You need them to come through for you. So what are you doing to ensure that...
We collaborate. We collaborate. So in some situations, we have to call them to give us enough pressure for us to take the water. Do you know yesterday we had a problem at Malata there? There was no water. So we have to mobilize another water tanker elsewhere to provide us with water.
Mr. Afo, we have to go. What will be your final word to our audience?
I would say that as Ghanaians, we should appreciate that when it comes to safety in buildings and public places, it's a shared responsibility. We can also extend these responsibilities to our homes so that at the end of the day, we will experience a fire-free nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. David Afo, DS Afo, the Deputy Director and Lead for Investigations at the Ghana National Fire Service. Thank you so much for joining us on the AM.